is that they love things to go according to their plans. The Western, they enjoy it whenever they come in Africa continent. They do whatsoever they want to do. They steal whatsoever they want to steal. They put whoever they want to put in power. They commit any kind of crime by breaking up the law, which they like to preach, of respecting other countries' sovereignty and human rights. They enjoy doing these kind of things. But if it happened that things have to go in on other way around, well, this drove them insane. They can become something else. They can get angry. They can act up in a very brutal way to whoever will try to stand on their way. That is how the Western, they like to behave in Africa continent. But this time, seems like things are not going according to their plans, because they found, or they have come across one of African stubborn son, Ibrahim Traoré, who have tried to show them the true Pan-Africans meaning and stand on their ways. After they have tried to assassinate him for a couple of times, they tried to poison him for a couple of times, they tried to call him names, they tried to revolt people against him in his country. After failing doing all this, the Western, I'm referring to France particularly, they don't have a choice this time. They have found themselves like they are stuck. So they had only one choice: to either cooperate with the government of Burkina Faso or to stay kicked out from Burkina Faso. In some of our previous videos, we spoke and we had explained to you what are the motivations behind France being in Burkina Faso. What were they benefiting from that country all these years? And we have told you that if there is one person who will have to lose, that will be France with Emmanuel Macron, because they will have a lot to lose in Burkina Faso. Now, how did everything first started? Because it is very important we try to recall the history in order for us to understand how things have reached to this point. Remember, Burkina Faso, after Thomas Sankara, it was led by Blaise Compaoré as their president, who was there as a dictator for so many years. This man, he was well controlled and manipulated by the Western. They will tell him what to do, and he will have just to obey. So whatever the Western will say, he just have to say yes, amen. Why? Because he knows very well that him challenging the West, him standing against the West or try to disobey them, it will put his power to the point of it collapsing. So in order for him to last in power for so many years, he need to have France by his side, Belgium by his side, and America by his side. So these people, I'm referring to the Western, they were enjoying it even more every time when they were having a chance to go in Burkina Faso and get to nominate whoever they feel like nominating. When they were able to have a last word to any kind of tenders which have to be taken over there in Burkina Faso. All these things was happening very easy for them. Everything was just very smooth for them. Until when the government of Blaise Compaoré collapsed. Blaise Compaoré, we all know how he left the country. He had to run because he's a man who's supposed to be in jail. From there he ran, he went to Ivory Coast. Since then, the Burkina Faso, they were left without having that leadership. A leader who can come and stand up and say that, okay, guys, I'm here to defend our soil. I'm here to say no to the Western. So they were kind of like having leaders who are coming in power And one moment before you wake up, you'll find out that no, there will be a certain person who's gonna be coming from the army to take over the power. That is how, since then, the government of Burkina Faso, it was running. It was all about militaries coming in different ways. Today is a military coup, tomorrow is someone else, the next day is this one and that. So when all these things was happening, of course, it was well planned by the Western under the guidance of France. Now, guys, as France was doing all this, because they were trying to find someone who can be at their service as much as Blaise Compaoré used to be. France was doing all this because they want at least to replace someone in power who will be as much as Blaise Compaoré. Now, when they were doing all these things, of course, they thought it would work for them. But by then it was too late, because people of Burkina Faso, they had changed their mind. People of Burkina Faso, they had tried to waken up, and they did not want to allow any other leader who will have to come in and just take the power like that and start misusing it against the people of Burkina Faso. Now, don't forget that in Burkina Faso, there is a different terrorist group which are fighting there, and we have told you who are the sponsors of this terrorist group and what are their missions. So they are using this in order for them to be called for a dialogue. Through a dialogue, they'll be able to share power. Through the power, and then they'll be able to impose their leadership in order for them to organize a proper military coup. That are the things which used to happen in Burkina Faso for all these years. Now, guys, here's the most interesting part of all this. Ibrahim Traoré, he came in power, of course, through a military coup, because he could see the disorder which was taking place in Burkina Faso. He could see on how the civil government, they were not able to respect the rights of people of Burkina Faso. So he came in after studying the whole scenario as we just demonstrated to you. He came in trying to do things differently. So Ibrahim Traoré had understood that the reason why our economy or our country is not stabilized, it is all because we're dealing with the Western, we're dealing with our former colonials who are still in control of all these politicians, who are choosing who have to be in power and who not have to supposed to be in power. So what he have to do, the moment he become this temporal military government, he chose to cut all the ties against France. He chose to chase France out of his country. He told them, I don't need you. When France, they were trying to shake up here and then, it's like, no, we don't need you. You guys have been here. Whatever you are doing here, we don't even see it. The next things, he went on and he chased America outside of his country. He asked Americans to evacuate his country with an immediate effect. They tried to threaten him up with sanctions, or if you don't do this, we'll do that, we'll do this and that. It's like, I don't care. So after he chased all these Western countries in his country, he then started trying to look for some neighboring countries on which he have to influence them with his strategies, because he knows that these neighboring countries, they'll be his allies and they'll back him up. So in order for him to convince these countries, he had to go with a fine example. He have to preach them with this one fine example of saying that, guys, you are afraid of these people for no reasons. Look at me, I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, and I succeed. So what you need to do here is just to make sure that, no, you talk, you chase these people out of your country. And once they are out, you must know that that's the beginning of your true independence. And we saw how he influenced people of Mali through their military government. They also managed to chase France out from their country. He then went on and influenced the Republic of Niger. Again, through their military government, they end up also chasing France. Not only France, actually, even the US, they chased them out of Niger. We also how France tried to resist his evacuation in Niger, because they were like, okay, if you guys don't want to do this, we're going to invade the Niger. But just because these three countries, they were already united as one Africa, they were having one language, political language, which they were talking about. When we saw Burkina Faso and Mali stood up in behalf of Niger, telling France that no, you can't be threatening Niger, because if you try to invade Niger, us also we're going to send our troops over there. We're gonna fight you with everything in our power, because we strongly believe that Niger, it is indeed a sovereign country, and no one should not come and just take it away from like that. Now, that apparently it was something which is not sit okay with France. So they were so crazy. They were planning now different strategies on how to remove these young men from power. They organized different military coup attempts which failed. Assassinations, they failed. They organized some of the poisoning him, they failed. That's even the reason why you guys are seeing him is busy, always wearing the gloves, because you can't even shake people's hands, because you don't know who can come and poison you. Now, this year in January, the president of Burkina Faso have gathered together with the military government of Niger and Mali in order for them to be evacuated from ECOWAS. They said these organizations, it is not at the service of Africans. Instead, these ECOWAS things, it is being misled or being led by the Western. Therefore, us, since we don't want anything to do with the Western, we don't want to be part of this organization. So, they pull out from the ECOWAS. For those who don't know what is the ECOWAS, I don't know the full explanation, but it is something which has to do with the Western Africa countries, which is like their organizations where they get to meet. As much we're having SADCs, we're having different organizations around Africa continent. So ECOWAS, obviously, it combines countries which are in the western of Africa, such as Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Chad, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, all of them, Cameroon, all those countries which are founded in the western of Africa. So, according to these three military leaders, they said that we can't be part of this organization because the Western, they are using these organizations in order for them to come and continue looting Africa continent, in order for them to come and continue to control Africans. And us, we don't want to be part of people who have to be controlled by the Western. And that is how they left that organization. They did not want to have anything to do with it. Now, after that being said, we saw how France with America, indeed, they tried their best to use this same organization in order for them to even sanction Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger in an open sky. Forgetting that these are our fellow Africans, we should have at least have mercy on them and try to understand their reasons that motivate them to do things differently. Instead, what happened, they treat them the way that they feel like it was a good way. So this also had motivated these African countries to isolate themselves from this ECOWAS country. Now, the more they keep on isolating themselves, the more they become even more independent, because they are now able to control their own mineral resources, as we get to see with Burkina Faso under Ibrahim Traoré, who had to close even some of the British gold mining and say that this mining from now on, it belongs to the states. So right now, the gold of Burkina Faso, it's being controlled by Burkinabés themselves, and not someone who's seated in the White House who have to tell them what to do with their own gold. So, as I said at the beginning of this video, who had to lose from all this? Of course, it is the Western, because they are no longer in control of the Burkinabés minerals. Now, after they have tried all these multiple military coups against Ibrahim Traoré, they failed. They tried to assassinate him more than 4 times, they failed. They tried to poison him, they failed. So they were left without no choice but to see on how they can cooperate with Ibrahim Traoré. But how can they cooperate with Ibrahim Traoré, a man who does not even want to welcome them, a man who have managed even to influence other African countries in order for them to not collaborate whether with the US or with France. So this time, they choose to send someone who's an African, and they went on to choose the new elected president of Senegal. Now, how did they manage to do this? How did they manage to send him in this mission? First of all, they invite him in a state visit in Élysée, which is in France. He went over there. That state visit, it hides a very big secret, which has to do on how they can send him with a message in order for him to go and pass it to Ibrahim Traoré. In his meeting, Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Senegal, and Emmanuel Macron as the president of France, as the president of France, who had to tell him that, go and tell Ibrahim Traoré, who's also a young leader as you are, that whatever he's doing is not going to benefit him or people of Burkina Faso. That they should convince Ibrahim Traoré in order for him to go back to ECOWAS organization. But why? They have to do that because they know very well that once Ibrahim Traoré with Burkina Faso and these other Sahel region countries decide to go back into this ECOWAS, it will facilitate France to get its access or its way back in these 3 countries. Now, the Senegal president, since he was the carrier of this, this message, recently he went to Burkina Faso to see Ibrahim Traoré so that they can get to talk and they can pass the message which came from France. But surprisingly, Ibrahim Traoré, who had to tell him the truth right on his face, telling him that, no, my brother, you are my fellow African, you are my neighbor, we are sharing the same DNA. Why are you letting yourself to be fooled by the Western, whereby they have to come and start sending you like a small kid? Why can't you open your eyes to understand that actually we are being attacked here as Africans? This has nothing to do with Burkina Faso. This has nothing to do with Mali or Niger, which are the Sahel countries. But this is something which has to do with the true freedom of African people. These people, they are well aware that if we let these 3 Sahel countries to revolt against us, this actually, it will motivate each and every African countries out there. They will start also doing the same thing and will lose the total control of Africa continent. And once we do that, then we are doomed. That was the response of Ibrahim Traoré to the president of Senegal that you should not let yourself to be manipulated by the Western. You should not let yourself to be sent by these people so that you can come and convince us to go back to the same organization which they are manipulating. You might ask yourself this question to know what did ECOWAS did in order for people to feel like, no, ECOWAS are being manipulated by the Western. Well, when the Western, they were busy threatening these three countries from the Sahel regions, ECOWAS, which is supposed to be the Western organizations or Pan-African organization, which is supposed to be protecting these three countries, they actually end up crucifying them. They sacrifice these countries in the hands of the Western by telling them that no, this military government, they should quit against the Western. If they refuse to do so, then they'll have to face the consequences. And we saw how they start putting sanctions on the government of Ibrahim Traoré and other people who were part of this government in the Sahel regions. So the ECOWAS, it's not an organization which Ibrahim Traoré with his colleagues want to deal with. That is the reason why they end up opening their own organizations, which they believe that they can trade among themselves, they can support each other according to the different activities that will be taking place between these three countries. So, the president of Senegal, he was left without no choice in order for him to just convert the same message and take it back to France, who had sent him, in order for him to go and convince Ibrahim Traoré. The fear that France have right now is for the fact that they have lost a full control over Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Now they don't know who will be next on the queue. They don't have any idea who will take the move against them in the near future. So in order for them to stop all these kind of revolutions among Africans, is first by seeing on how they can neutralize this military government from all the activities that they are taking against France. Because they strongly believe once that happens, it will give them that power. They will regain again that authority over Africa continent, which unfortunately is not something that's going to happen, because Africans actually, they have understood very well that the kind of people they are dealing with, there are people who don't have mercy for Africa continent. There are people who don't want to collaborate with Africa in a mutual respect ways. There are people who don't care at all about what is happening to Africans. These are people who only protect their own interest. These are people who enjoy seeing African suffering. And these are people who prefer to continue looting Africa in order for them to grow up their economy and their activities. So Africans now, they have understood that game, and that's the reason why they're not paying attention to them. Instead, they are more focusing and giving their support to such kind of leadership as the one of Ibrahim Traoré. No matter how many times they have tried to revolt people against him in Burkina Faso, they fail. So, France with Emmanuel Macron, they are on their knees right now, begging Ibrahim Traoré in order for them to come and continue trading with the people of Burkina Faso. That is something that the Burkinabe as well, on their side, they have failed. So guys, thank you so much. It was very important that we have this conversation with you in order for us to make you understand of what just happened between Emmanuel Macron and the president of France, who have to be sent to over there to Burkina Faso in order for him to convince Ibrahim Traoré to go back to ECOWAS countries. So I believe that will be all for now, but please don't leave without you giving us your thumbs up. Like this video in your numbers, we really do appreciate that. Okay, we really do appreciate that. Make sure that this message reach to many people. Make sure that this video can be recommended to many people out there. So please like this video. We will really do appreciate that. I believe that will be all for now. Continue to be yourself, be good, be kind, have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.